Dust rose in the dying light as the townsfolk of Wither Creek gathered around the rickety platform where 18-year-old Clara Hale stood trembling, her pale eyes unfocused, her fingers clutched around the frayed edge of her dress. She had been blind since childhood, and today her guardians, an aunt and uncle who saw her as a burden, had dragged her into town to sell her off like a broken tool, starting the bidding at a single, humiliating dollar while the crowd murmured, laughed or looked away in pity, and Clara's heart pounded with helpless terror because she could hear every cruel whisper. But among them stood one man who said nothing, a broad-shouldered cowboy with sun-darkened skin and a quiet intensity in his stillness, Luke Maddox, a rancher known for speaking little and working hard, a man carrying his own ghosts. And as the bidding started, with no one offering more than a mocking coin tossed into the dust, Luke stepped forward, boots heavy on the wooden boards, his voice low but steady as he said, "I'll take her." And with that he placed a silver dollar, clean, unbent, shining, into the uncle's greedy palm, a gesture so simple yet so heavy with meaning that even Clara felt the shift in the air. Her uncle shoved her toward Luke without care, but Luke caught her gently, his hand warm around her cold fingers. And for the first time that day, someone touched her like she mattered. As he guided her down the steps, Clara whispered, frightened, "Why? Why would you buy me?" And Luke took a slow breath before murmuring, "I didn't buy you, Clara. I rescued you." But he said nothing more, respecting the storm inside her. The walk to his horse was silent, except for the wind brushing through the street, and the townsfolk stared with curiosity, suspicion, or awe. Luke lifted her onto the saddle with tenderness she'd never known, then climbed up behind her, one arm steadying her as he guided the horse toward the sunset, leaving the cruelty of the auction behind. And as they rode, Clara felt a strange sense of safety blooming in her chest, an unfamiliar trust rising like dawn, while Luke silently vowed that no one, not her greedy relatives, not the town, not the past, would ever harm her again. But neither of them knew that someone was already riding after them, someone furious at losing the deal, someone who intended to take Clara back by force, unaware that the silent cowboy he was chasing carried a dangerous past, a sharp mind and a will made of iron. And as the ranch house finally appeared on the horizon, Clara clung to the saddle horn while Luke whispered the words she would remember forever. "You're safe with me now. Whatever comes next, we face it together." And in that moment, beneath the rising moon, a bond formed, fragile, trembling, but powerful enough to challenge destiny. Chapter 2. Condensed narrative, single powerful paragraph. The next morning dawned crisp and quiet on the Maddox ranch, with Clara waking to the soft smell of hay and warm bread, confusion swirling inside her until she remembered the events of the night before, the auction, the cruel laughter, Luke's steady hands, and the gentle way he'd shown her to his spare room. She dressed slowly, tracing the wooden furniture to map her surroundings, her heart torn between gratitude and fear of being a burden. But when she stepped outside, guided by the sound of clucking hens and crunching gravel, Luke was there waiting, his voice calm as he said, "You don't owe me anything. Just be yourself." And that simple reassurance melted something deep inside her. Over the days that followed, Luke taught her how to navigate the ranch with a stick he carved for her, how to listen to the movements of horses, how to feel the warmth of their breath, and Clara, in turn, brought a gentleness to the ranch that Luke hadn't felt in years, her laughter soft but genuine as she learned to trust the space around her, even as she sensed a hidden sorrow lingering in Luke's silence. One evening, while Luke tended the fence line, a gunshot shattered the calm, sending the horses scattering and Clara dropping to her knees in terror. The man from town had returned, furious, claiming she belonged to him now, demanding Luke hand her over. But Luke stepped between them, his voice low and deadly as he said, "You don't own people." And though his hands shook with memories of the war he'd tried to forget, he held firm, refusing to let darkness take Clara again. The man lunged, and the fight was brutal, fists slamming. boots grinding in the dirt, until Luke pinned him, breath ragged, warning him to never return. When it was over, Luke found Clara trembling behind the barn, and he knelt beside her, brushing away her tears as he whispered, "I promised you safety, and I keep my promises." And she reached out, touching his face to understand the emotion in his voice, her fingers tracing the curve of his jaw as she murmured, "You see the world for both of us, Luke. And somehow you make me feel like I can see too," a confession that hit him harder than any punch. From that night onward, Clara and Luke grew inseparable, her courage strengthening his quiet heart, his steadiness giving her wings. And soon the townsfolk who once mocked her now whispered in, or the blind girl who walked confidently beside the silent cowboy. And as the sun sank low one evening, painting the ranch gold, Luke finally took Clara's hand in both of his and said the words that had been burning inside him since the day he laid down that silver dollar. "I didn't save you, Clara. You saved me." And she, with tears glimmering like starlight, whispered back, "Then let's save each other for the rest of our days," sealing their fate with a love stronger than sight, stronger than fear, stronger than the past itself. And the screen fades out with a soft reminder to all watching that even the most broken souls can find a home in the quietest hearts.